Hey, what's going on, everybody? Drew Creel here from Shred Sessions. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. This next interview is with Tom Fountainhead Geldschlager. He is a really insane technical death metal guitar player. He played guitar in Obscura for a time. He also played in Belphegor, as well as Defeated Sanity. So this guy has played some of the most technical, insane guitar metal music that I think exists on the planet. So he has a new record out. It's called Changeling, and it's got a crazy cast of over 50 musicians that play on this record. There's brass musicians, strings players, a choir. It is one of the most groundbreaking and just insane death metal records that I have ever heard. Now, Geldschlager, he's known as a fretless guitar player, too, which is kind of rare in the world of metal. Some of you guys that are metalheads will probably know about Steve DiGiorgio from the band Death. He played fretless bass. And there are others. There are other outliers. Alex Weber, another fretless bass player. But fretless guitar is kind of somewhat of a anomaly in technical death metal. So I find Tom to be a really intriguing character. I had a great conversation with him. We talked about what it's like being in the metal industry and some of the difficulties around promoting your music online. So, of course, here at Shred Sessions, I was happy to help promote this record because I think it is a really ambitious musical experience listening to this record. You can listen to this technical death metal record in Dolby Atmos as well. It's available. So if you have a 5.1 or 7.1 system at your house, you can listen to it on that. You can also listen to it in stereo as well, of course, right? But this conversation's awesome. If you're a guitar nerd like me, you'll enjoy the part where we talk about his Aristides guitar, 7-string fretless guitar with a steel fingerboard. It's all really fascinating, really interesting stuff. So without further ado, here is Tom Fountainhead Geldschlager. Cheers. Well, I was just curious, man, what is Berlin like this time of year?
Good question. I mean, Berlin, oh man, this is a difficult question to answer because Berlin is so many things at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the one time of the year that I think it's really beautiful and it's really free and open and everybody's out commuting and mingling and being cool. It can get really depressive, really depressing in the winter and then in the autumn. Just a gray waste of concrete and metal and brutal architecture and people being too cool for their own good.
Yeah, I feel that, man.
So yeah, right now it's the beautiful time of the year, so I really do enjoy that.
That's good, man.
Even though I really do think that my time in Berlin is coming to an end.
Okay, no kidding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just really hot, and I'm in Tennessee. I'm right outside of Nashville, so it's 93 to 100 degrees. Like there's tons of humidity, and I just got back from Minnesota. Actually, I was seeing some family up north, which was great, and it was a little cooler up there. But even for them, like the 3rd or 4th week of July, it's like the hottest time of year in the United States. But yeah, I'm always just curious. I've actually never been to Berlin, so I would love to make a trip there at some point in my life. But
well, if you do, then just say hi.
I definitely will, man. And I was so excited to talk with you, man, because I'm also a guitar player, and Shred Sessions, it's more of a band-based podcast. We've done a lot of interviews with people in Nashville metal, Nashville hardcore. So it's nice to kind of branch out and talk to another metal musician in another part of the world. So, thank you so much, and huge thank you to Season of Mist for reaching out. So this is exciting, man.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is fun. So Changeling, right? We've got a new full-length record out, self-titled. There's some amazing musicians. We've got Morean on vocals, Mike Heller on drums from Fear Factory, Malignancy, and then Arran McSporran on bass, also a fretless player. So, my first question is, how did you go about putting this crazy cast of characters together for the Changeling record?
So it's a bit of a backstory. So is it okay if I just ramble?
Of course, go for it, man. Yeah, fill us in.
Right. So until the point when Season of Mist signed the project, signed the album, it was always thought of as just my next solo album. So it was Changeling, the next album by Fountainhead. It was never like I planned for this particular thing to exist, like the band. It just I had a concept for the music and for what I wanted to do, and that concept involved having the same musicians on every track, same core band, basically, with different flavors on top of it, in contrast to what I had done on my last 2 solo albums, which was different musicians on every track and just wildly different flavors every time. So that was clear to me from the get-go that I wanted to have the same people playing the same instrument on every song and making this like a whole big concept album with like a sound that's identifiably the same from every song, right? The next one. And so, yeah, and then I just thought of who I wanted to have on that, who would be my dream lineup. And it would need to be people that I knew personally, that I knew from my other experiences in other bands that wasn't so great, when I was thrown into a lineup of people that had never met and played together, and then just turned out that wasn't working. So I wanted to have people that I knew personally, but had never worked with before.
Yeah.
So that list wasn't particularly long. Florian, aka Morean, was my one and only choice for vocals because he's one of my favorite people, one of my favorite artists and composers and lyricists in the entire genre. And because we've been waiting for the opportunity to do something for many years. So it was like, hey, this one, you want to do it? Like, yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, Morean's vocals are truly incredible on this record. Like, there's some weird spoken word parts. Of course, his brutal vocals are unique and powerful in the same way, but he brings like kind of a artistic manliness to the sound. I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just more manly.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I just love that. You know, a lot of the vocalists around the Tennessee scene, you're either like a hardcore vocalist or like a deathcore vocalist. And deathcore, I like what people are doing in deathcore. You know, my friend Taylor Pace, who's been on the show a few times, he teaches vocal lessons and, you know, fry screams and gutturals, but he's got something else going on altogether. And I think it just shows his experience and artistry. Like, he's really created his own voice and own sound. I know that sounds kind of corny, and you would expect that. He's a vocalist, but he really has his own sound. He's not just repeating the common tropes that you might expect in metal.
It is rare. It is rare for people to have that.
Yeah, it's incredible. This record is so eclectic and diverse. Like, there's so many different sounds, man. There's Indian percussion, there's like an entire like brass horn section, which I really enjoyed. There's synths, like there's fretless guitar. Are you just drawing from as many influences as possible, or does it just kind of make sense when you go about a writing process? Like, oh, okay, I want tabla percussion in this section of the song. Like, how does the writing process work for you, man? And how does something kind of form into what ends up on a Changeling song?
Okay, now we are kind of jumping different topics wildly. So
sorry,
it's all good. Just need to compartmentalize a little bit. Because I have this tendency, I'm like language is my kink.
Yeah.
I mean, cute accent is my other kink, but language is my kink. So it's like I try to be very precise in what I'm explaining, and some people find that extremely boring. Well, it's fine.
No,
you know,
I appreciate
try to
that.
to like take a topic and then like express my train of thought and then move on to the next topic. So it's like, gotta compartmentalize.
Yeah, take your time, man.
The way I write is kind of the opposite of what most metal musicians do, and this is like not me flexing, but just assessing the situation, because I've been teaching people this method of working for years, and I'm hearing this all the time. It's like, really, you can do that? Like, this is backwards from what I was doing. So by this point, I am aware that it's not common to work like this. I work from the big picture, from the macro, as I call it, to the micro. So I don't write riffs and then form songs around them. I write songs, I create musical structures first, and when I hear an entire composition in my head, which doesn't mean that I hear every little part, but like I know exactly what it's supposed to do, and what it is supposed to make the listener feel and experience at a certain point, if that makes sense. So I have that whole picture mapped out in my head. Only then I start writing the actual music. So then it's like, okay, I know what it's supposed to do. I know this part is supposed to feel and sound like this. So now I got to come up with themes and melodies and harmonies that reflect that thing, right? And so I work my way from the big picture down to the smallest details. So the small details come last. And most people write riffs, riffs are in themselves like very detailed, and they contain a multitude of ideas. And the way that I do it is I have the big picture first, like I said, and then I try to write themes that work with that, and I try to do as many of the parts and requirements of the song with as little themes as possible. Yeah, I said many times, like, not sure if you're familiar with that Obscura album that I've done like many years ago. There's a song on it called Weltseele, which is a 15-minute song. And I've always said to people, like, this song has like 3, possibly 4 different ideas, not more. So the whole piece is built around very little different ideas that are then taken and mutated and expanded into different variations as long as I can get away with it.
That's incredible, man. Thank you for sharing that. And something I appreciate about German people is they are very specific, and you have specific words to describe things, whereas American English, we have a lot of filler words, and we use like words like vibe a lot to describe things, which doesn't really say anything at all, right?
True, yeah.
So that's I will try to ask you more direct questions moving forward, but this is fun, man.
Don't feel like you need to change anything. It's just that this is the way that I talk, and it works for some people, and other people feel like, can you just be a little bit less specific? Can you be a little bit less lengthy? It's like, sorry, can't do.
Be as specific as you need to. So something that comes to mind when you talk about like coming up with themes, that to me, that's almost like a classical approach to writing music. Who are some 100%. Classical composers that you listen to, or that you draw maybe some of your inspiration from?
Honestly, I'm not like one of those people who are like, yeah, I'm into Bach and Stravinsky, and it's like, that's more of a flex than anything.
Yeah.
I am into a lot of the classical repertoire. I love some stuff, just as much as I love death metal or jazz or the fucking Beatles. So it's all the same to me in that way. If it's good, it's good. If it makes me feel something, then I like it. I love K-pop. My daughter got me into K-pop. I love it. There's a bunch of things that I find really inspirational in it, and I don't really differentiate between that and Beethoven. I am very much influenced by the classical, like you said, you hit the nail on the head, approach of writing, because that just is the one thing that I found that makes the most sense to what I want to do, what I try to accomplish. Going back to what you asked about the personnel on the album, especially Morean, but also Arran, they really understand what I'm trying to do, which is the best, just the best. Because that's not always the case when you're working in this way. People tend to not quite get it unless you really specifically give them instructions. These two, they immediately know what is about, can make suggestions, can make improvements, and it's the best. It's the best.
That's amazing. Yeah, like those guys are talented, and it's I know that you're probably one of the main writers on the record, if not the only writer. But
yeah,
it's
musically the only one. Yeah,
it's multi-dimensional when you have like these musicians such as the ones on the Changeling record. And I was mowing my lawn yesterday listening to this stuff, and I was just having some freakouts, man, because there's so many oh shit moments with guitar solos and bass solos and vocal moments that I just didn't expect to happen. And I think that's what a great record should have. It should really stretch the listener a little bit, but the music is still enjoyable. You know, it's still like I'm not straining to listen to it. Like I want to go back and listen to Abyss, you know, and what is the other one? Falling.
Falling in Circles.
Falling in Circles. What a great tune, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was the one that got the most pushback when it came out.
Really?
Enough. Yeah.
Just too progressive, or
I don't know.
What was the critique?
I've been reading a ton of different criticisms. Like, this song is just horrible. Like, very unspecific. Like, okay, yeah. I think that's the nature of doing something a little bit out of the ordinary. Trying to, like, something I do all the time is like I take a framework that's existing and then I ask myself, okay, what if? Like in this specific case, you know, what if I took specifically the things that I brought to the table on the track Acrasis by Obscura, which was a big song in my development and career, and I just flipped the script on some of the elements, you know, and then there are people who are like, yeah, but I loved that thing in the first place, so now I hate this one. Which is fine.
Yeah, people are opinionated.
But that's not how I approach music, and I love it. Me as a listener, I love when people flip the script on something.
Me too. You have to take music past where you found it, and I think in metal, a lot of people are trying to pursue this like more pure form of death metal or more pure form of technical death metal. And they're just not necessarily adding much to the genre. You know, you're hearing just the same super fast 200 BPM song with sick. I mean, the guitar playing is great, you know, and I could list so many examples. But I'm also a huge fan of Defeated Sanity. That was like one of the first technical death metal bands that I got into 5 or 6 years ago, and I was just like, man, these guys are doing it different, and I really enjoy what they're putting out, and I still love, you know, Archspire and Inferi and all of the other bands that are really pushing the boundaries on technical death metal, and I would put Changeling in that category. I could see you guys touring with any technical death metal band that's around, but I think you have something else to offer melodically and song structure wise. Would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I would. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But that's also just a way, again, that I write. If I do a record, like I've done so many different albums with different bands, but if I do it for myself, if I make a solo album, this was supposed to be, until we rebranded it as a project. So just by definition, it's like, okay, what can I offer to what's already existing that's different? Like, I want to bring something new to the table. And if I can't do that, I have a hard time finding the motivation to do it. And hey, honestly, it took me a few years until I was able to find things that I could bring to the table that I hadn't done before, specifically within technical death metal. Like the last, 15 or so albums that I had done with other bands, in between that, like writing wise, were all very far removed from death metal. So it took me a long time until I was ready to say, okay, I've got something that ticks those boxes for technical death metal, whatever that may mean, but also brings something new that nobody has done before. Like, for example, the song Abyss, right? That's the first death metal song that I know of that modulates up and down in quarter tone.
Yeah, I noticed that. There's like microtonal stuff going on too between the guitar and the bass. Like, you know, was that hard to record that? Like getting the bass and the guitar like lined up? Yeah, I would imagine it is, right? Getting the pitch,
for sure.
the pitch is such a challenging aspect of playing a fretless instrument, and I thought you guys handled it well.
Well, but honestly, since that song, interesting, a lot of people thought it was fretless. It's not. The only fretless guitar playing in that song is in the solo section.
Yeah.
Everything else is fretted. How do you create like a quarter tone modulation without using pitching? Because none of that is pitch shifted. It's, you know, that's what I would use live, but it's all recorded. So you got to figure out ways to do that. That's quite a lot of work. But at the end of the day, that's what you have to do. It's just, another thing another box to check in order for the song to be ready. But the hard part was writing it, like coming up with something, because you can throw everything in the kitchen sink at it, but it needs to serve the song. It needs to fulfill a purpose. And one of the things that I don't like about microtonal music that most people... So there's like a scene for microtonal music, like for experimental classical music or free jazz even. And most of those, the people in there are going for shock value, and they're trying to kick in the door, waving a 4/4. They're not thinking of making very listenable, enjoyable music. My goal with this was to use the quarter tone, microtonal stuff in a way that actually enriches the listening experience. And if you hear the song without it, you'll be like, oh, I get it now. But it's not requiring like a degree in music theory to enjoy the song. And that's always the goal, that these technical things, they're cool, but they need to serve the song. And to get those two things to meet in the middle, that was the hard part.
Yeah, I knew something weird was going on with pitch on this record, and I did not know you were doing that, like on that particular song, that you were going down a quarter tone. So are you just tuning the guitar and the other instruments at that point in the song down a quarter tone, since you're not, you said up. You weren't using fretless? Oh, it's up. Okay.
Yeah, so song starts in 440 hertz, regular tuning. And then at some point we move up a quarter tone, and then past the solo section, we move down again. And the instrument that makes that happen is the choir. Like there's a specific technique that I kind of stole from Jacob Collier. It's kind of like a mix of influences from Jacob Collier, who I really adore, and a classical composer called Giorgio Ligeti. You've ever seen 2001: A Space Odyssey? The movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Remember the piece of music that's playing when the apes discover the monolith?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That.
No kidding, man.
Right. So that piece of music, and I figured out how it was written and did my own version of that. And there's 12 female voices, and some of them are in 440 pitch, and some of them are outside. Within the song starts with the vocal, starts with the choir, and it's like the microtonal voices add a feeling of eeriness and uneasiness, which really fits the mood of the track. And so that's its function. And then at some point, the notes that are out of the normal tuning system, that are not in 440, that are a quarter tone up, they become the new norm. And then the other ones, and then the band basically moves up and put then the out of tune notes in tune, and the other notes will be out of tune. And if you write that, so that's like the very basic version of it. And if you do it right, then it creates this lift of... Because through what happens actually when something is up a quarter tone is everything is brighter.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's why the whole thing just lifts up a little bit. And that's the cool thing about it. Like you repeat the chorus that you had before, like almost note for note, and it will feel differently because it's brighter, it lifts up. And then when the final chorus and the final section come back at the end of the song, because then we move down back to original tuning, it feels more crushing, it feels more weighty, because it literally descends in pitch.
Dude, I love it.
It's also done through the choir.
Man, yeah, and the choir sounds are incredible. So that's the kind of stuff that I think makes your music so intriguing to me. You know, like I'm just like, dude, like you just don't hear people doing that often.
I would hope so. I would hope so, because otherwise my purpose with this album would have been in vain.
Well, dude, the only other microtonal guitar stuff that I've really heard is the King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard record, the Flying Microtonal Banana, I think is what it's called. They're playing on frets, but the frets are like kind of closer together, and then they even tune the piano, and they're doubling melodies on the piano. That's also microtonal. So but it's cool to hear it in metal, man. I mean, it's really something. And And of course, the fretless stuff reminds me of Death. You know, like that's an obvious influence, but it's not a trope. You know, it's not like, oh, here's a Death guitar part or bass part. Like, you're really doing something. To me, you're taking it even further. Man, it's such an amazing record. How would you imagine doing this kind of music live? Like, would there be a certain degree of backing tracks and things like that? Like, how would you approach that?
Obviously, then there would need to be backing tracks to bring the whole ensemble, right? Because there's over 50 people on it. I never really think about the live scenario too much when I write. I think those are two separate areas. To a point, you know, it's like if you if you can't play the material and you need trickery to, you know, just fake your guitar parts or like speed it up or to deliver that specific vibe, and then you want to bring it on stage, yeah, that's going to be a problem. But for me, it's more like, in how many elements do I want to bring? Like, how many instruments, you know, what can I make sonically to make this interesting? And that's in the studio. And then the live situation, as long as I can play the material, I don't mind making a little bit of compromise with that. And I don't think the audience minds it if
No, not at all.
a 50-piece orchestra on the album and then it's 4 people on stage, as long as those 4 people perform the parts that move the song, right? So that's what it I want to say what it would be, but that's what it is, because I've already performed this music live. Just that nobody has seen it. You know, I've toured India as a solo artist 2 years ago, playing the Changeling material. Also played a couple of shows, playing it with a trio format, which also works. And so, depending on what the offer is, I can bring more musicians. And the less musicians, the more backing track. The more musicians, the less backing track. And then we are performing the most important parts.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of how I put it together in my mind, where you got the core members playing guitar, bass, drums, vocals, and then we're supplementing that with backing tracks. And I think you would put on an incredible show, man.
I hope so. Thanks for the trust.
No, I definitely think you would, like, just knowing the playing level that you're at.
Dude, it's not the playing level. Like, the live situation is just a different thing. You know, you can be an incredible player and just not connect live. That's a different thing. And it's like I was also one of the reasons that I'm having a hard time right now after the album came out and there's no show opportunities, is that I've worked very hard over the last couple of years playing with different bands, touring worldwide with bigger bands, and also like putting in a shit ton of small gigs with local bands and all kinds of stuff. Just really, there was kind of a blind spot in my musical persona for a long time. Even when I was touring the US with Defeated Sanity in 2017, I came home being like, I don't think I've done this as well as I wanted to. And so I've been putting in a ton of work trying to be a better live musician, which does not mean being a better player in general, but just, connecting with the audience. Just simple things like, can you play this? Running around on stage, connecting with every single audience member, projecting and just bringing a personality on stage. Can you do that while playing this material? And that's what I've spent many years fine-tuning. And so I think now, 41, now I can do it. Some people can do it at 17. And I was watching a clip of Zakk Wylde playing with Ozzy Osbourne when he was, I don't know, like 19 in the 80s. Like, fucking hell, this dude already had like the monster personality on stage back then.
Crazy, man.
So very inspirational to me. Never was able to do that. And I think now I'm getting to the point where I can, where I have a stage personality that I want to show people. And this would be the time to do it. So I'm like,
Well, dude, I think it comes through in the music videos, the 2 Changeling music videos that came out. You do have a persona, and you do command the instrument so well. And I also wanted to remind you that, you're playing the highest level technical metal music that there is, in my opinion, when you're playing defeated sanity material and you're trying to, have a personality on stage. I mean, to me, maybe Steve Vai would be another like close musician that's playing that like some of the highest level stuff and, being very exciting to watch on stage. But I think even on his DVDs, there is some overdubbing. If you do a little bit of research, like he overdubbed several guitar parts just to make sure that the DVD itself could be the best product that it could.
Yeah, he's so amazing to watch. He's still killing
it, man. Yeah, I've seen him many times, man. He's easily one of my favorites. Definitely an inspiration for me as a player.
Yeah, same.
So, Tom, I wanted to ask you, did you mix and master this record, or were you more of a producer for this record, would you say?
All of the above.
Okay. And the Dolby Atmos element, too, that's something else that I saw, is that the album is mixed in Dolby Atmos. Did you handle that yourself as well?
Yes and no. So I did do that one as a duo. So it was a 50-50 collaboration with another engineer, because this is the first time that I'm in Atmos, and I didn't have the financial means and the experience to make it the best it could possibly be in Atmos. And so I found this amazing engineer called Eric Horstmann, who's a little bit of a legend in the German like audio community. He's done so many things, and it was funny because I got inspired by a Rammstein album that I got to hear in Atmos. Not a huge fan of the band, but like that blew my mind for the different creative implications, but also at the same time just the improvements sonically on the experience, if that makes sense. Like I heard their latest album in a IMAX theater. Sound coming from all across the room, biggest bass, biggest drums, biggest guitar, biggest vocals ever heard in my experience at that moment, and then still choirs happening above and keyboards coming from behind and all the different awesome things you can do in Dolby Atmos. And yeah, that changed my life. And then I find Eric, and it turns out randomly, he was also assistant engineer on that album. So he's done a lot of stuff, and he brought just the legitimacy and the technical experience to that, so I could do my creative madness. So we did it 50-50.
Man, I really would love to listen to it in Dolby Atmos, and at some point in my house I'll definitely have a Dolby Atmos setup, but at this current time I don't have the means for that. But I think in a few years people will be listening, or people will be looking for Dolby Atmos records to listen to. I know like Devin Townsend, he's way on the forefront of that. So I was excited to see that this record's available in that format, and that's, man, I think that's a smart move.
I don't make smart moves. I make
okay.
I'm it's like I would love to be able to do that, but I make these decisions based on other things. And when I first got exposed to the format for music, I just felt a calling to do it, because I felt like, okay, this is another one of those areas where I can actually bring something new to the table. Because I've told the story many times, when Eric and I got together to do the Atmos version, the first thing we did was to listen to the entirety of the majority of the Metal in Atmos playlist on Apple Music.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to all these things, and we just looked at each other and we're like, yeah, man, this sucks. Fucking hell, this sucks. Like, why are metal bands not using this technology the way that it should be used? And then the next thought was, well, I guess we just have to figure out how to do it. And so we spent 7 months figuring out how to do it, and now we know.
Yeah, whether that was a smart decision or not, it happened, right?
I don't know,
but I think it is. Yeah, I think that's it. You're kind of future-proofing your record, and it's a very forward-thinking thing to do, in my opinion, to do it in that format. So I just wanted to mention that. So
yeah, cool. I appreciate that. And by the way, just quick side note, you can listen to it in Atmos. Atmos as a format allows you to, like, the format is the first one that takes care of translating the audio content to your listening environment. So if you have headphones, you can listen to Atmos. If you have what's the Apple earphones, like iPods, you can listen to Atmos. That's not the issue. You just have to have technology that enables you to play back the correct files and the streaming service that provides it. The problem is that it doesn't give you much of a benefit if it's stereo. Well, if you just have stereo headphones, then listen to the stereo version, the regular one, because that's what it was made for, right? Mm-hmm. But if you have at least a 5.1 system or 7.1, or then what the format that I mixed it in with Eric is 7.1.4. And if you have that, you get the full thing and you get what we call the room full of sound. Like in metal, we have the wall of sound approach. Well, this album brings the room full of sound. Like you are literally in the center of the action. Like it has not been the case on any metal album before, ever. And that's super cool, super exciting.
It is super cool. Wow. Right. That's awesome.
But then the problem is if you expect that same result from two stereo headphones, it's physically impossible.
I think Tidal is an option for folks that want to listen to Dolby Atmos stuff, but it's also available on Apple Music.
It's on Apple Music. Yeah, it's on Apple Music in Atmos. It's on Amazon Music in Atmos and Tidal and possibly one or two others, but it's not on Spotify, unfortunately, because Spotify doesn't support Atmos so far.
Gotcha. Well, dude, I had just a couple questions about fretless guitar stuff. I don't know if we have time for that, but man, I'm a guitar nerd. So what got you initially interested in playing fretless guitar? How long have you been playing fretless guitar? And what kind of technical things did you have to adjust in your playing in order to play the fretless instrument?
Okay, so it's been 2 decades now. So you know who Ron Tal is, Bumblefoot?
Yes.
Right. So way before he was, in the minds of people, Guns N' Roses, all this crazy stuff, he was like an underground guitar legend already in the 90s because he was doing stuff that nobody did. And as soon as the internet came around, because I'm fucking old, as soon as the internet came around, like I got into like the underground, cool, cutting-edge guitar players at that time. He was one of them. And so I basically heard his first couple of things. And he had just started getting into fretless guitar and recorded a few things. And so it was on my mind. Okay, that's something that you can do. Awesome, right? Yeah. And then I played a show with my, I guess you could call it high school band. And I had this Steve Vai model with a Vimy bar, and I guess I abused that shit a little bit too hard, so it just exploded on stage. Like, whole tremolo system came out. So guitar was shot to bits. And living in a very small town at the Baltic Sea, you can't just go buy another guitar.
Right.
So I brought it to this local repair shop, and then this little devil on my shoulder was like, well, if it's broken anyway, why don't we try something cool with it? And I asked the local dude in the shop, like, hey, can you maybe also take out the frets, put in a fixed bridge, and make it a fretless instrument? He's like, I guess I can try. And so then I don't know, how old was I? 19, 20 at best, maybe let's say 19. And so suddenly I had a fretless guitar and started experimenting with it. And I still remember I wanted to study jazz guitar, and I did the entry auditions, that determine whether or not you're worthy. And I did like a fretless guitar, drum and bass version of a jazz standards, and they were horrified. They were like,
"Oh no,
what the fuck is this?" Long-haired dude in the Cannibal Corpse shirt playing a fretless guitar.
Hell yeah, dude! I fucking love it. That's great.
So I just kept at it. I just kept using it whenever possible because I just thought it was such a cool, unique thing to do. And as you know, if you do it often enough, then you also become reasonably, proficient at it over time. Then it just became a calling card, right? And by the time that I joined Obscura, then it was like, oh, cool. So let's make this like a feature thing. Like, let's put fretless guitar on this album in an extreme metal context that nobody had ever done before. I mean, unfortunately, then that became, oh no, like drama, there is no fretless guitar on the album, like this whole bullshit thing. But yeah, I did that, and it just became its own thing now. And I've heard from so many people that they've been inspired by the fretless guitar parts on that album to try the same in extreme metal. So there's many more people now doing that sort of thing and experimenting with it. And so now, it's about finding new ways of doing it. But to get back to the question, I think horizontal playing is the most concise answer.
Yeah.
Because everything happens horizontally, like vibrato. I can show you.
Sure.
You don't bend the string while playing, but you do this.
Yeah, which is like a cellist vibrato,
exactly,
or
like a classical
violin
vibrato.
Yeah,
exactly. And so if you just keep honing that, then at some point you're like, yeah, well, instead of going, I can go.
Yeah.
Right. So now, why not also go?
Yeah, dude.
Right. So you just take it to a higher and higher level, and it just all the little things that people used to use whammy bars for, like attacking notes from below, like, and then doing super wide vibrato.
Yeah.
And like moving harmonics around, like a dive bomb. I can do. I don't know if you can hear that, but
yeah, I can. I mean, that's the other thing that I think is cool is you do a lot of harmonic stuff, a lot of natural and artificial harmonics where you put your finger across the strings, and I just thought that was so cool when I saw you doing that in some of the solos.
Yeah, like the glitch harmonics, as I call it.
Yeah, man, it's great stuff. Do you feel like playing the fretless helped you develop your sense of pitch, like even on a deeper level?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it forces you to. You really, and I feel like I'm at the beginning of that, and I would love to be able to have so much more control about that, but it forces you to like make that your main priority. So, horizontal playing, and just through your acute sense of pitch that's been forced to to be a main thing, then you also discover that you can play in between the notes. And you can have many different versions of a note. Like on a fretless guitar, I can do 5 different variations on an F, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Right. And that, to me, that's wild. That's cool. That's super interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, man. It's just a totally different approach to the guitar. And dude, I thought it was amazing that you're doing like full 5 and 6 string sweeps on the guitar, playing on a fretless. That's just incredible, man. And your sweeping technique is really interesting to me because you kind of do this multi-directional thing with your right hand. Whereas here, I'll grab my guitar.
Yeah, sure.
When I sweep, it's a lot of the time it's I'm not doing this. I'm doing more of like a kind of a pushing and pulling over the string,
right?
So
with your entire arm, like this.
Yeah. Like my sweeping technique kind of comes from the elbow, but yours comes from the wrist, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Interesting. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I have this as a guitar teacher. I have this approach where I think, let me run this by you. Let me see what you think. So I think that a lot of the problems that we have, or the limitations that we have with our technique and our playing, come from the fact that we do things on the guitar that require us to just use like one joint, one part of the hand, one certain thing that's responsible for getting that sound. But we always use multiple parts together.
Yeah.
And that's a very uneconomic way of doing it, right? So for example, when you not knocking your way of performing the sweeps at all, but just saying, if you use your entire arm, that's a lot of muscles. That's a lot of parts of the arm. While if you just perform this, way fewer muscles involved. So by definition, you are using up less energy, right? So to me, trying to get any technique down to the bare essentials, figuring out what part of your whole physique is responsible for a certain thing, and just fine-tuning that, I think that's the thing that really powers your progress as a guitar player. What do you think?
Man, that's an awesome take on that. Absolutely. Like the economy of motion when it comes to picking is huge. Like I remember like early on when I was like 15 or 16 and I was like trying to get my picking speed up, alternate picking, and then I got Frank Gambale's book, which is all about economy picking and sweep picking, right? So that was a huge game changer. where you know, when you're crossing strings, you know, down up down down up down, or up down up down up, and Malmsteen does that stuff too. So that was a total game changer for me. But they're different sounds, right? Economy picking sounds different from alternate. Alternate's just more percussive, right? It's more abrasive, and sometimes riffs sound better with that technique. But to answer your question, like you should use as little motion as possible or as little muscles to achieve a certain technique. I would agree with that.
I do think so. Yeah. Cool. I'm glad that you dig the take.
Yeah, dude. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I try to do this in my own playing all the time. Like just a couple of years ago, I started to get on this journey of completely rebuilding my right hand from the ground up, because stuff was just not working. That tour in 2017, playing guitar for Defeated Sanity, that had a lot to do with that, because I felt like I was operating at 100%, 110 or 20% of my capability of the right hand, and it was just not working. It was just, like I could get it up to 100% by just sheer force of will, and then it would fall apart if I didn't keep it up for 2 days. I'm just, this is not working. But anyway, so I try to find ways to make it more economical all the time.
Yeah.
And I think, to turn this back to the fretless thing, for the left hand, this has been really forcing me to do that as well. Because if you're playing a scale horizontally on your left hand, you really need to figure out which part of the hand and finger is responsible for what to even be able to use that. Right? So to me, in the left hand, when I'm moving like this, my arm and shoulders are just the railway system.
Right. Yeah, it's just transporting your fingers. Yeah, go ahead, man. Explain it. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, all good. Because everything is about position changes. Sometimes tiny ones and sometimes big ones, right? So this is the mechanism for changing positions. And then the thumb is basically the thing that makes me feel, okay, am I here around the 19th fret or am I around the 5th fret? I can feel that just by the texture of the neck, right?
Yeah.
And people will be like, oh, that sounds very esoteric. No, it is not. If you're spending all your time doing this, you'll be surprised how much of a difference you feel just by doing it all the time.
Absolutely.
Right then, and then muting, fretting, those are very independent processes, right? And then when you combine these different aspects, then you're going to be able to play one note and still make it a whole scale with just one movement, one pick stroke.
Yeah, the horizontal thing is a much bigger deal with fretless instruments, it seems like, and I love that. Is that a 7-string guitar?
Yeah, that's the 7-string. That's the fretless instrument on the Changeling album.
That's the one. Now, how has it been working with Aristides guitars? Were you able to be an Aristides artist? And I just have so many questions about that guitar, but how has it been working with that particular brand?
Oh, awesome. It's like what do you, as a musician, like, what do you look for in working with a company? It's like, basically, if their instruments solve problems that you have, that's what you want. Right?
Yeah.
It's not about money or artist deals or whatever, or representations. About, can these instruments solve problems that you have in your everyday life?
Yeah.
And Aristides have solved so many problems for me.
That's
So
amazing. So, and what is the material called that they use to make these guitars out of?
it's called Arium. That's like a Aristides own. That's like their invention. So all these instruments, like, I have two fretted ones and this fretless ones, and it's all like one continuous body. There's like no connective tissue. There's no screws, no nothing. It's just all one thing, and that's why it with this material Arium, it just resonates so well.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no zero wood in this guitar, and in all the other Aristides that I have, it's all Arium, and it has very good frequency properties, I guess, is the
Sure.
thing. So, like, not to knock down any other instruments that I've played before that. I've played Ibanez guitars for many years, not being affiliated with them at all, but just played a bunch of them. Then I was endorsed by this Swiss company called Soul Tool around the Obscura time. I've had two signature models, fretted and fretless ones. So they were like tailored to my specifications, like to the T. Amazing instruments, super cool. But then when I, at some point, recorded the same guitar parts that I used to play and write on those instruments a few years later with the Aristides, I just happened to notice that they were sitting in the frequency spectrum so much better, so much, they would fit into a mix so much better. And so that's one of the things that the Aristides has just from the get-go, which is amazing.
That's incredible. Now, is there a truss rod in that guitar?
Nah, I guess so. I'm not a nerd on that level, because I've never used it. All my Aristides guitars have been set up from the factory, and I have never had to change a single thing about them.
That is incredible, man. That is remarkable.
Yeah.
Like,
so, yeah. And then also, when I was touring with a band called Belphegor, they gave me like a 6-string as a tour support for that, which was a multi-scale, which really helped. So all of that has been amazing. And, like, honestly, it sounds not that important to other people, maybe, who don't have the same problem. But I have 2 dislocated discs in my neck.
Oh, no. Wow.
Well, yeah.
How did that happen?
I really try not to go on another side tangent, but long story short, turns out I'm a mutant. I have, like, where you probably have a round area in your spine in your neck. Just because that's the natural thing to have. For some reason, for me, that area, which is just 1 or 2 centimeters long, is flat, like not curved, but flat. So in that specific area, which is exactly the area that gets headbanging, gets the most strain, I have like double the weight. Maybe not double, that's like exaggerated, but like I have more weight on that, and I never knew. So spent my whole life headbanging on stage. I have 2 kids that I then ended up moving back up and down like 5 stories in the apartment when we lived, like, all of that, doing that day by day, carrying heavy equipment for 20 years. And at some point, it just goes, bam.
Oh, no, dude. Wow.
Yeah, and you never know, because this is not something that anybody would look for. So only when I get the x-rays, then people would explain to me that this was a thing, like an unusual thing that I had. I never knew. And then the damage was done. So since then, just going to the gym, training, building muscle around it has helped a tremendous amount. But the instruments that I had from Soul Tool, amazing instruments, but they weigh almost twice as much as Aristides. So that's what I mean with solving problems. I can go out stage. I can headbang still. I have been doing it. I've played with Belfigur doing the propeller thing. If I'm conscious enough of my own health and my routine and the instruments that I play are not putting extra strain on my neck, I can still do it. And honestly, without having switched to Aristides, I don't think I would be able to still do it.
Yeah, man, I love those guitars. I've had the opportunity to play an 8-string before, and I know what kind of resonance that you're talking about on the lower strings. It just, you feel it resonate through the entire instrument. It's such a unique thing, and I really enjoyed watching the Isan videos where he's playing like a headless or ergonomic version of their guitars. And I'm considering kind of going in that direction. So thank you for breaking that down for me, man, and walking me through that.
Yeah, no problem.
Remarkable piece of gear.
They're really a remarkable company with super cool people. I have felt very supported by them.
That's
and
great.
Also like the fretless, anybody can get a Aristides fretless at this point. It's not like a production model, but if you specify your wishes and you're just ordering a guitar and you think, well, make it fretless, they will make it for you.
That's awesome. Do you know what the material is on the fingerboard?
Steel.
Wow, dude. So it's got a layer of steel. That's so sick. I love that. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I have different guitars with aluminum, steel. Anything that's metal really does help.
Yeah. And what kind of strings do you have to go with on a guitar like that?
Just regular strings. I don't
Really?
have. Yeah, I don't use. In case you were referring to round wounds, which a lot of people are using, like on fretless bass. No.
Gotcha.
That's
So
another reason why I play metal fingerboards, because they don't wear out. Like the very first fretless guitar that I had, that but this dude customized for me back in my hometown at the Baltic Sea. 2 years in, and you would really see the strings cutting into the fingerboard and making holes. And then using round wound strings, it's not great, because you want high end, you want attack, you want things to cut, especially if you're playing metal. All of those things are a little bit more difficult to get on a fretless guitar.
Right.
And so metal fingerboards help with all of that, because I can play it's the same set of strings that I have on my other instruments. It's elixir strings, either 10s or 11s.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Don't need anything else.
Dude, it sounds awesome. It sounds incredible. Yeah, I didn't know if you had to get some specialty strings on that guitar, but dude, that's cool. And the stainless steel fingerboard thing, like that's just so awesome, man. I love that you've brought that into metal, and you're one of the few that have ventured to do that, and I just commend you for that, man. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah. It makes you more unemployable.
Sure, but
it's such a double-edged sword, the way that media works, because I have literally heard from people that I met on tour, they have uttered the sentence, dude, if I had known that you actually also play normal guitar, we would have asked you to play on tour long ago. I'm like, what?
Oh my God, dude.
What? Like, so it's just the way that perception works in social media and things like that. On one hand, which is why I say double-edged sword, on one hand, you're like, okay, this is cool because this is a unique selling point, because so few other people do it. But at the same time, it just becomes this pigeonhole, and people just think that's all you do. Like, okay, what can you do?
Dude, I understand that. I mean, I feel the same way, because like I have a jazz fusion project, I have a post-rock project, I have a death metal band called Zaphon, and it's hard. Like, some people know me just for one specific thing that I do. And so you're right, man. People's perception of you, it's hard to convey, like, no, this is who I am. You saw this one video of me doing this one thing, but I'm a proper guitar player in every sense. I play, 6, 7 string, multiple different tunings, frets, fretless. Like, amazing that you do all that. And dude, that disappoints me to hear that people sort of maybe put you in a box, when it comes to what they think you can do or what they know you as, so.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. I think it's again, a double-edged sword. I think that you mentioned Devin Townsend before, like one of my absolute heroes.
Yeah.
Like he has been doing so many different things over the course of his career. And I think that now it's one of his greatest strengths, also with his audience. His audience has grown with him and they appreciate that multifacetedness, for lack of better words. And it really became a calling card that he can do whatever the fuck he wants, and people will still support him because they know that he does all these. He can launch into any sort of genre at any moment, and they will still support him. But that's a really long game. And I think that's the game that I have been playing without knowing it for a long time, because I've just always also done that. Different genres, different bands, different scenes, different instruments, different sounds. But when you're in it is definitely playing on hard mode.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
Totally.
Because that's how perception works. People see you for discover you with one certain thing, and then usually they move on to the next thing, and that's their snapshot. And then when the next thing they hear from you is something different, then they're confused, and that's understandable, the way that media works. But if you manage to keep that up for a long time, and you manage to keep your audience together somewhat, it can. So maybe this is like an I don't know if I can give you advice on anything.
Sure.
But I think like that's my experience. If you manage to be consistent in doing all those things at the same time, then it can be an advantage, because then people know you not only as another guy who plays, like you said, jazz fusion or death metal, even though you may be doing super cool things with that, but then you also have like all of that to compete with. But then you become the guy who does that and that and that, which is a much more unique place to be in.
Yeah, man. And this podcast has just opened up so many doors. And I just love talking to other guitar players, man. I like other people that are devoted to the craft and are making incredible records. Like it's just been such a joy doing this show. And I was really taken aback when Season of Mist reached out, and I was like, of course I want to talk to this guy. Like this guy,
awesome.
And to be honest, I hadn't heard of you that much prior to that. I didn't know that you played on the Obscura records or played with Defeated Sanity, but I could easily, like someone like myself could quickly kind of put the pieces together and be like, okay, this is an important figure of guitar, not only in Germany but probably Europe. So I would just encourage you, man, just don't ever quit, man. Just keep going, because things will work out. I truly believe that, man. If you're doing things at the level that you're at, and you keep pursuing that, and you keep showing people who you are consistently, like you mentioned, I think you could be in a position, to keep doing this and keep putting out these great records, man. And the Changeling record is one of the best technical death metal records that I've heard in the last few years. Like, it just is. Let's do this, man. If people want to listen to this record, it's available on all streaming platforms. But if you want to support what Tom is doing with Changeling, go to seasonofmist.com, I think it is, and just look up Changeling. There's merch. You can read more about the band, who's all on the recording, because there's a lot of different characters involved in this recording. So please do that. Order a t-shirt, order a record. I think it's available on vinyl as well. But anything you want to add to that as far as how people can find you and support you?
Sure. Thank you for asking that, or for passing me the mic.
Yeah, man.
changelingofficial.bandcamp.com is usually the best place to download the album. And vinyl and CDs are currently sold out on that one. But there's my merch store. That's a word I can't pronounce. This is German.
All good.
Changelingmerch.com. shop.bigcartel.com, which is also linked on the Bandcamp. And there you can get the t-shirts, you can get the vinyl still, you can get the CD signed and things like that. So those are the main points to support the project. And yeah, and then also, unfortunately, against my will, I am being held on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
Sorry, man. It's essential, right?
No, it's a fucking disease. I wish all of that would just die. And that's the honest truth.
Yeah, it would be better if people just use their ears, right? And just listen to the music and because that's how I think we used to do it, man. We used to, an older brother or a friend would be like, yo, listen to this. And then you'd listen to it. And then you would make a decision on, okay, well, what do these guys look like? Where are they from? Now it's like it's reverse. It's all optics, man. It's all visuals first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the current reality. I don't think and it's a reality based on algorithms and hyper-capitalist reality. So the things that you do see are the winners of that system, and you don't see the vast majority of people, especially in the artistic community, which are the losers of that system, right? And so that doesn't bode well for the future of music as I see it, because to me, I don't mean to like get into a big philosophical argument. You know, I have this argument with some of my friends all the time who are using social media to their advantage and making big moves in the music industry that way. I've never been able to do that, but I do think in general, it is a problem that social media is requiring you to make concessions to your art that are not necessarily beneficial to your artistic intent.
I would agree with that totally.
You know, even if it's just about attention span.
Yeah. You know, Jacob Schmidt from Defeated Sanity on Facebook, he talks a lot about this stuff, you know, when it comes to using, you know, triggers and sampled drums or performing, like they perform their recordings live in the studio. You know what I mean? That's how Defeated Sanity records their music, you know, and I think there's a certain degree of artistic integrity there. He doesn't talk as much about the social media stuff, but I appreciate the sentiment that you have, because artists we should focus on the music and the sounds and the expression first, and then do the other stuff later. But a lot of the time, the content creation is the focus. And I think a lot of art is lost there. But
yeah, I do think so.
The other thing is AI, right? Like, should we use AI? And are the people that aren't using AI in their music, are we going to get left behind, right? That's another sort of philosophical thing, right?
Another whole can of worms. And listen, I don't think these technologies are the problem. A technology is just a technology. Right. It's the way that we use them, or we allow our worst instincts to take over, to determine the way that we use them. Social media, AI, then it's going to be something else. But I think it's a matter of consciousness. And if we allow ourselves to always get the short-term gratification, and for that to take over our lives and the way that we consume art and engage with art, we are collectively going to destroy one of the great wonders of the world, which is music. And I know some people will debate me to the end of time on that, especially when it comes to social media. That's fine, but that's just the way that I particularly see it. And I see it with concern, but it's also the current reality. 40, 50 years ago, there was other things that were not ideal. So just like you said, we have to keep on keeping on and just do what we do and find ways to still connect with people in any way possible.
Well, I'm definitely going to follow you on Instagram, because I want to see some more fretless guitar videos. I don't know if you have any plans of putting those out, but that's something that I would enjoy seeing. But maybe, hey, if you have a strong artistic stance on that, I don't. I think you have to go with that, man.
No, it's not that. I have I have PTSD diagnosis, which is based around cameras. As soon as you point a camera on me, I can talk to you because I'm not talking to the camera. And if it's a one-on-one thing or performing live in front of people, that's one thing. But as soon as I see a camera eye, I freeze up, and I also can't take selfies. So it's like, that's one of the reasons I think why this guitar playing thing has not worked out for me the way that I wanted it to, because this is not my arena. Like the whole guitar playing scene is a visual arena now. It's not an arena of playing and producing sound anymore. It's a wholly visual arena, and that's never been my arena. It just took me 20 years to figure out why I have this problem, and now I know, and it's not been pleasant. And I'm battling it all the time. And the amount of videos that I have that I'm not able to publish because it just triggers very dark feelings in me is, dude, I have more unpublished videos than published videos.
Yeah,
that I can say. And I struggle with all the time. Like YouTube, Instagram, anything where I have to show my face, to me, is terrorizing.
Yeah. Hey, man, that I can empathize with that, man. Because like I've had a YouTube channel for a long time, and there are weeks that go by that I'm just like, I cannot bring myself to set up the equipment and talk to the camera, and I just I get, I guess you'd call it stage fright or something. And some videos I make because I just have to, like I'm working with like a gear company and they need something made. So I'll have to make the video, right? As time has gone on, I've learned to just be myself on camera, and even if I think people don't like who I am or what I say, that's okay, because there ultimately will be a sea of people that relate to me and like the stuff that I say, right? So,
dude, I love that for you, that you found that spot and you were able to get over that.
Well, thank you. And man, I don't want to take too much more of your time. We've been talking for quite a while, good. So thank you for the extended interview, my man.
Dude, thank you for giving me the platform.
Of course, yeah. Like this will be out in a couple weeks, and I just really enjoyed listening to your guitar playing, man. Like it's just really enjoyable stuff and inspiring. In so many different ways. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. Like the fans will eventually get hip to what you're doing. I believe that. So Tom, thank you so much for hanging out and talking with me, man. And any last words you want to talk about Changeling or the record?
I think we kind of covered it all, but I again want to say thank you for giving me the platform, for engaging with the album, and for everybody who's about to check it out. Maybe a few people through this interview, like everybody who's discovering it, like from the bottom of my heart. I thank Doe deeply.
Well, dude, that's awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me. Thanks for coming on Shred Sessions, and everybody that's listening, thank you for listening. And if you know anybody that would enjoy this episode, please share it with them on social media. So, Tom, thanks a lot, man. It's been a real honor.
Dude, pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much.
Yeah, take care, man.